Howdy! Welcome back. This is Dan Mink, the Rhinestone Roper. Today we're going to be teaching our horse how to bow. Now, why would you teach your horse how to bow? Well, maybe you're a showman and you put on shows for your grandkids, or you put on gigantic shows in a rodeo arena. Either way, you want a finale for your trick horse portion, and the best trick for the finale, have your horse accept the audience applause, is to have them bow. So you'll need a horse, need a soft rope, maybe a saddle, and your cueing tool. Here's my special cueing tool. I just picked up a stick and broke it off and sharpened it a little bit. It's not sharp, but it's sharp enough to let them feel it when I'm cueing them with that stick. The horse I'm going to be using today, his name is Geronimo. He has been exposed to these tricks, but I've never used him in a show. Now, why would a horse want to bow for you? Well, you may have the theory that your horse loves you and wants to do anything to please you. And that might be correct. Or your horse might want to please you because you give him treats when he's doing the right thing. I find that giving a horse treats calms him down because he knows he's on the right track. But out of a treat, I have a better chance of them thinking, well, where's that treat coming? Okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm paying attention, I want that treat, so I'm going to look for the cue and do it. Trick training puts you in better touch with your horse, gets him to pay attention to you, and it's something you can do with your horse every day without putting a saddle on and going through a bunch of whole rigmarole. Just go out, do a few tricks, give him a treat, feed him in the morning, and you've done something for the day with your horse. I think there's a lot of good things that come out of doing tricks with your horse. If you have a whole show in mind, don't worry about whether you'll be able to do it. You will be able to do it. You will be able to teach them all the tricks you've seen anyone teach your horse to do. You can do it. So just create that show in your mind and practice all those tricks. Come out with work with your horse, practice every one of those tricks. Every one of those tricks may have 2 or 3 steps, and just hit the step you're working on. Then move on to the next trick. The last couple trick horses I've trained, I taught them the entire routine all at the same time. In a month or two, my horse had the whole routine. Some tricks he had better than others, but he had the whole routine. And if you practice it in a routine, that means you'll be standing in the same spot in your arena or in your practice area. Be standing in the same spot every time for that trick, facing the same direction every time for that trick, in the same sequence. After just a few practices, he'll be looking for the cue for that next trick. That gives him an advantage to learning. Then he knows, okay, it's time to bow. I'm going to look for the cue, and he's already getting in his mind, and he does it. The other thing you want to keep in mind while you're creating the trick is the cue. You don't want the audience to see your cue. You want your cue to be something that the audience doesn't associate with the horse doing his own trick. So for the bow, my cue is I've already done the whole show. I bring the horse to this spot. Put my hand up on their withers. This hand comes up. All the attention goes to this hand. I take my bow, and that's the horse's cue to bow. That starts with tickling this horse's shoulder with my stick. And this hand remains free to give him a little jog there if he's not doing what he's supposed to. You know, your cue is going to start out one thing, and that cue needs to migrate to something that the audience doesn't recognize as a cue. All right, to start with, I'm going to get my little cue stick. I'm going to have my horse pointed the direction that I'm going to have him pointed every time we work on this trick. And I always decide where the audience is. The audience is right out there, and it's always right out there. That helps me keep in mind the sight line. I want the audience to be able to see his trick really well, and if I can turn his body so they can't see the cue, then so much the better. Today I want you to see the cues though. I'm going to have my little stick ready. I'm going to get ready here, get his attention, and I'm going to say to him whatever I might say in the show. I'm going to say, let's take a bow, Geronimo. I come right back here on his shoulder. I'm going to tap him with that stick. And I'm not trying to spook him, I'm not trying to hurt him. It's just a tap, 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 tap. And to start with, he doesn't know what I want. You might be tapping there for 5 minutes. But sooner or later, he'll realize he's irritating me with that stick. And he'll associate it like it's a fly. So he's going to pick his foot up and chase that fly out. As soon as he picks his foot up and chases off the fly, you stop the cue, Tell him he did a good job, and give him a treat. Let him rest for a second. Assure him that he's doing the right thing. A lot of it with these horses, they want to please us, they really do, but they get nervous if they think they're not doing the right thing. If you let him rest, give him a rub, give him a treat, you've just confirmed that they're on the right track. Now he won't know why he got that treat to start with, but we'll go back to doing it again. Let's take a bow. Let's take a bow. And all you want him to do is lift his foot. And that's all you can do on that trick for the first day. You don't want to push it too hard. But when you come out before you feed the next day, then you come out, do the same thing. Let's take a bow. Let's take a bow. Let's take a bow. Good boy. And after a few days, if he realizes, we're standing in this spot, he's watching you. As soon as you focus down there, or point at it, or look at it, he'll probably lift his foot, because he's thinking, okay, I'm going to get a treat for lifting my leg. Can you give us a bow? Lift that leg. Lift that leg. If he doesn't take that cue, give him a touch. Yes. And if he doesn't take the touch, then work your way down his leg. You get down to his leg to his knee there, then he'll pick that foot up. You won't have to do that very long. After a while, all you have to do is set up the scenario, come over here, and focus right there. Yeah, look at you. Now once he's used to picking up his leg, you can spend time trying to get him to hold it up. That's the way I did it. I'm not sure that was necessary. As soon as you get so, all you have to do is point at that leg, focus on it, and he picks his foot up. Then comes in our rope, and at that point you might put a saddle on also. We'll take a soft rope, a large gauge rope. This is an old busted lead rope. Put that on his foot. Attaboy. Right down low there. Okay, no, don't worry, you don't have to lay down. Come on up. Come on up. We're going to give him his cue to get him to pick his foot up. And then once he picks his foot up, we're going to hold that foot up. Now if you're... No. Okay, good boy. Give him a treat for working hard. I took the rope off of this horse's foot because he thinks that's his cue to lay down. That's kind of where we stopped in his training 2 years ago. He remembers it. So, once I've given him the cue, stay up here, he's picked his foot up, I'm going to grab his foot and not let him have it back. I'm going to take the end of that rope and dally it or tie it on the saddle horn. So he's got his foot here. Now, at this point, you probably don't want to wear your cowboy boots or your spurs to do the trick. Because what you're going to be doing, you're going to convince him that it's okay to back up with his hind feet and put that knee on the ground. When he's doing that, he might do some dancing around. You're going to be close to him. You want to be nimble-footed so he doesn't spin around and knock you over. And if you're tangling yourself in your spurs, that won't be good. As with all these tricks, the most important thing is that you don't get hurt. The second most important thing is that your horse doesn't get hurt. And we talked about putting a rope on his foot. The first time you do that, give him the cue and let his foot just hold on to it. You want to test what he's going to do when he finds out his foot is confined with that rope. Talked about putting it over the saddle horn. Well, just put it over the saddle horn and hold on to the loop for a second. It may hold on to it out there. If your horse freaks out because his foot is tied, you want to be able to let go of that rope. If it's tied solid, then he'll get to swinging that, jumping around. They can hop around on 3 feet, and most of the time they won't hurt themselves as long as you've got a safe place for them to do it. But you don't want them swinging his foot. They can cut their other leg with their hoof. You might have to get your horse used to the fact that he can't have his foot back. You got his foot up. You can't have it back. You'll be here gonna ease and back. Ease and back. Oh, and then come up. Yeah. Good boy. Now you're easing him back. As soon as he touches that knee on the ground, then say ho, up, and you let him up immediately, but you say ho in the middle. That was a good boy. Untie his foot so we can have his foot back, give him a treat. Depending on your horse's disposition, if he does it once, you might want to turn him loose. Or if he really likes treats, you might do it 2 or 3 times, but probably not more than that. This muscle is a muscle he probably hasn't used before. So you can't do it too many times or he'll decide it hurts and he won't want to do it at all. So I've got the rope on his foot, give him the cue, pick his foot up, gallop down the saddle horn, and say, let's take a bow. Let's take a bow. Now he didn't stay down there, so if I had the rope on his foot, I would keep the rope on it. And I wanted to hoe when he's down there. I wanted to hesitate down there and stay until I tell him it's okay. Now he touched his knee and decided he was done. That's really not good enough. So if I really trained this horse, I would do it again until he hesitated, until I could say, okay, and I could move forward myself. And then I want to encourage him to move forward on this leg and stand up. If they move backwards when they're doing it, then they give a hop, it doesn't look good. Let's take a bow. Take a bow. Oh, okay. That was better. That was better. Now, when he's doing that trick pretty good, you might still put the rope on his foot and just hold it. You don't need to dally down the saddle horn. The reason you dally down the saddle horn is just so you can be here with both hands pulling straight back on his nose. And you need to decide when your horse has done enough good for the day so you can quit. You know, maybe coming back just a ways is good, and you give him a treat for that to start with. And as the week goes on, you ease him back until he gets his knee on the ground. Once he gets his knee on the ground, that's your goal every day. He's got to get that knee on the ground, and you say ho and okay really quick. So he gets used to saying ho and getting up when you say okay, even though he's only down there for a fraction of a second. Then after a while, you can extend that, say ho, okay. Then he takes a good bow for the audience, and it looks good. Sometimes the horse has a problem lifting that leg up and keeping it up while they're coming down. They let the tip of their toe drag the ground, and it catches, and they can't do it. They can't get their foot back because that toe is caught right there. So it might be necessary just to give it a sweep with your foot. Just give that toe a sweep, get their foot back so they can take their bow. You see, this horse is changing position. We don't want him thinking he can change position. As soon as he does, you got to get his attention and bring him back to the right position. It's all position for the audience. The audience is right out there. Here we go. Let's take him out. Here we go. Hold. Okay. All right. Our horses all want to do the trick training. They kind of stand in line here because, let's face it, it's pretty easy work. They get treats while they're doing it. And when they've done their job, they get some grain. This is Ginger Mesa. She's a lot further in her training. Her cue for bowing is we go through all the other tricks, and then we just say yes and no. Not sure what part of the show we're doing. I'm going to come back, put my hand on her wither stick there, and raise my hand to take a bow. We'll see if she takes a bow and holds it for me. Are you ready? You pay attention to me. All the horses turned their back. They're looking at something going on across the way there, so is she. I'll make sure she's here with me. Are you here with me? Okay, let's take a bow. Take a bow. I'm going to sweep her toe. She has trouble with her toe. Come all the way down. Hold. Okay. Good girl. Are you ready? Let's take a bow. Take a bow. Here we go. Atta girl. Sweep her toe a little bit. Take a bow. Hold. Okay. Very nice. You get ready to wave. Wave goodbye to the kid. I bow with one foot and do the counting and waving with the other foot. Okay, thank you. That's a good girl. All right, that's taking a bow. It leads into laying down. We'll do that in the next video. Press like and share and subscribe. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.